Welcome back to my KEEPUP channel. Bank holiday weekend hell. Locals in the UK's picture postcard tourist hotspots warn their villages are buckling under the weight of floods of visitors as thousands of families travelling for mini breaks wreak havoc on traffic, parking, and businesses. Families across the UK's tourist hotspots say they dread the vast hordes of visitors that bring chaos to their doorsteps every bank holiday. Overcrowding, out-of-order public toilets, and parking disputes are just some of the issues plaguing picture postcard honeypots, with some locals even reporting being threatened by angry visitors looking to park on their drives. Entire coachloads of new arrivals descend on some of the UK's small and quaint villages on bank holidays, such as the beautiful Bourton-on-the-Water in Gloucestershire, to soak up the sun and enjoy the idyllic surroundings. Meanwhile in Whitby, North Yorkshire, even some of the local traders are complaining that tourism is getting too much, while in Salcombe, Devon, business owners say high housing costs driven by tourism make it difficult to find staff. And Saturday once again saw locals left frustrated by the issues caused by overcrowding, from selfie takers blocking the road while posing for photographs to the vast queues forming outside local cafes. Parish and District Councillor John Waring says Bourton-on-the-Water is buckling under the weight of an ever-increasing number of daytrippers. He said a visitor recently threatened one of his neighbours after being asked not to park on his drive. People can spend an hour in their car, driving around. Some of the difficult behaviour that follows is because they get frustrated. One of my neighbours asked this person not to park on his property and got threatened with violence. He said he knew where they lived if they did anything to his car and threatened to throw a brick through their window. Parking for coaches in the village has become more difficult after a privately owned area they had been allowed to use was withdrawn. The parish council is now considering banning coaches from central parts of the village to try to ease traffic congestion. Mail Online found issues with internet signal for the local parking app and public toilets costing 40p per person. By late morning, the village was rammed with people. Bernie Roberts lives just yards from High Street but, like many other villagers, only goes there to buy a newspaper and rarely goes out on busy days. Referring to the huge numbers of tourists who often visit the village, he said, "It has spoiled it. I've been here for the best part of 30 years. When I first started living here, there were proper shops. Now there aren't." He complained about people breaking the 20 miles per hour speed limit outside his home, saying some drove down it like lunatics, adding that youngsters were having to leave the village because houses were being bought by outsiders wanting to rent them out. He said, "It's a b********* why disaster. It has definitely spoiled the village." But local business owner Sarita Tapper, who runs the Chestnuts Fashion Fix shop, disagreed. She said banning coaches from the centre could force her business to fold because so many people visit Bourton via organised coach trips. She said that while some days were very busy, others were very quiet. She added, "On the really busy days, people get the wrong impression. Come during the winter, it's a ghost town." Ice cream seller and village resident Alan Heimers said, "I've been here all week and it's been really quiet. There are traffic situations, but when it's busy, we can cope. We have to take it. It's handleable. It's always been busy on bank holidays." Marie and Andy Malayan, from Breise Norton in Oxfordshire, were not bothered by the crowds. The latter said, "It's so lovely. We've been here at least 6 times. And Angela Condon, from Northampton, said, "It's just a nice place to be. It has always been busy, but I still enjoy coming." Whitby in North Yorkshire runs an annual goth convention and has been made famous by classic novels such as Bram Stoker's Dracula. Danny Wilson, 55, who runs a goth-themed fashion shop and lives locally, said he is being forced out of his own town. "I live in a rented flat and all the other flats in the building are holiday lets now. They make a lot of noise. I cannot leave my bike outside my door. The fire alarm is going off all the time. I am going to have to move." Most locals probably feel the same. It is not their town anymore, because it is busy in the winter now as well. There used to be a few months a year that the locals would say, "We have got our town back," but they cannot say that anymore. Locals are sick of having nowhere to park and not having any local pubs. They feel pushed out, like in any tourism destination. Most town centers are closing down for business and make way for expensive houses for rich people to move in. At least Whitby Town Center is still a hub for people to go to, so that is a positive from tourism. Barry Snedden, 67, has been running pleasure boat trips around Whitby Harbor for 42 years, but is also feeling the downside of the tourism boom. He said on busy days so many people visit Whitby many are forced to walk on the roads, and congestion is made worse by the need to raise and lower a local bridge to allow boats to pass. He added, nobody gives a monkey about the parking. The police do not bother and the traffic wardens cannot be everywhere. Some people park all day on disabled badges, and the disabled person is not even in the car. Mr. Snedden, who has been a member of the local lifeboat crew since 1982, continued, people do not check the tides and get cut off. We have had people scrambling up the cliffs and doing other silly things when they start panicking. We have more litter bins out. But some visitors still leave the kids' buckets and plastic fishing nets next to the bins at night, so they blow into the harbor and fill it with plastic. If the nylon lines get entangled in ships' propellers, they can rip the prop shafts apart and cause thousands of pounds worth of damage. He added, the language on the street is terrible. I tell them there are kids and women around, but they have often had a few beers and will get funny. There is no need for rudeness. It is lovely place Whitby, but no one seems to police anything, and there are some things that need sorting out. Charlie and Julie Marsden, aged 69 and 62, are lifelong visitors to Whitby. Mr. Marsden said, we come here most weekends from Wakefield. We have a static caravan here and just love it. It is so unspoiled, not commercialized like Scarborough is these days. Everything around here is brilliant, the walks, the Abbey. But we do not bother with the car and walk everywhere while we are here. My sister lives in Whitby and is sick of people parking in front of her house to walk down into town. The congestion is terrible where she lives, so we do sympathize. One of the rows over traffic congestion centered on motorbikers using the railway station car park. Rail bosses complained by visiting the adjoining Whistle Stop Cafe, the bikers were taking up too many car parking bays intended for rail users. This resulted in a ban on motorbikers using the station car park last year. But this was overturned last year after 5,000 motorcyclists petitioned against the move. Biker Steve Searle, 73, from Leeds, West Yorkshire, said, we sit here and watch all the day trippers coming off the trains and buses. A lot of places do not like bikers, but no one in Whitby objected to us using the car park, and the cafe would not survive without us. Most of the bikers who come here tend to be older and never cause any trouble. But the ban might have had an impact, because normally this car park would be full of motorbikes. We feel we have won a victory, but we will see how long it lasts. It would be a shame if it didn't, because Whitby is a marvelous place. There is so much to see. The fish and chips are to die for everywhere you go, not to mention the kippers. Thomas O'Grady, 43, from Saltburn, took his 3 children George, 8, Fergus, 4, and Dusty, 6, down to the promenade while their mum settled into their new holiday cottage. He said, my wife grew up in this neck of the woods and loves it here. We have just bought a holiday cottage, so we will be here even more. We love the ice cream. All the kids think it is a magic place. We have just been to Panet Park Playground and they like it there too. Meanwhile, full-time residents in the historic Devon fishing port of Salcombe say the seasonal influx of holiday home renters and day trippers delivers work, income and a tangible buzz of excitement on the narrow, winding streets. Surrounded by stunning coves and beaches and glorious cliff walks, the South Hams town is a tourist magnet, sometimes to the dismay of locals, who say parking can get limited in high summer. Retired builder Phil Martin, 78, said, it's a big problem. Holiday homes often have families or groups of friends arriving with 2 or 3 cars and nowhere to park them. So they just dump them all over the place outside the homes of us locals. It's the same with day trippers who are too mean to pay for park and ride. I've challenged drivers in the past and get responses like we're going sailing, as though that makes it okay. Not all visitors are the same, I know. But this is one of the biggest causes of upset locally during the season. Then there's the habit of certain holiday homeowners to register as businesses to avoid paying council tax. Many full-time residents hold down 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet, so you can imagine how they feel. It doesn't seem fair. The parking issue isn't lost on Salcombe's shop owners and traders. Sally Hannaford, 54, who manages the pasty shack on the waterfront, says it leads to increased traffic on streets already thronging with visitors. People just keep driving round and round looking for parking, she said. Then they'll get frustrated, pull up anywhere and take the risk. In high season we see loads of cars with parking tickets at the end of the day. Mother of 2 Sally, who was born and bred in Salcombe, says high housing costs driven by tourism make it difficult to find staff. I'm lucky because I have 2 children who help me in summer, she said. But there are shop owners who sell up because they can't find any staff. And that's because ordinary workers can't afford to buy or even rent here. In winter our resident population has now fallen below 2,000. I understand why so many people love Salcombe. It's a beautiful place, and it's great that visitors come and enjoy it. But this brings pressures on the town. Across 4th Street at the Salcombe Yacht Shop and Cafe owner Anneli Daniel agrees that some old-school locals don't like the holiday crowds and speak fondly about the old days. But the way I see it, says Anneli, 53, is that the visitors allow us to live and work here. Simply being in Salcombe is a wonderful thing. Yes, there are difficulties for those of us running businesses. We are under so many council restrictions, and the streets get absolutely rammed with cars in summer once the car parks are full. That causes everyone problems, especially the delivery drivers. However, her colleague Kat Horton, 56, says recent summers have seen a drop-off in visitor numbers, the result she believes of the cost of living crisis. It still gets very busy here, she said. But it's nothing like the scenes we saw in the weeks after the COVID crisis, when everyone was allowed back out. Trina Hayworth, 52, who works at Salcombe Sailing, also cites parking problems as one of the town's biggest bugbears. Seeing the same cars driving past again and again looking for spaces, that's obviously not good for anyone, she says. Having said that, I love the influx of people in summer. We need to accept that seasonal businesses survive on tourism. We can hardly complain about it. Over at the Jam Industries fashion store, 19-year-old Mia Carey, who works weekends while studying for her geography degree at Bristol University, says she loves the town at its busiest. I've seen it in winter when the streets are completely dead, she said. When it's busy, it's a great place. I have loads of friends here, and the atmosphere is fantastic in summer. For some older residents though, the sheer number of houses bought up as holiday rentals is a source of anger and frustration. Figures from the Office of National Statistics earlier this year revealed that the South Hams has the highest number of holiday homes in England and Wales, at 44.1 for every 1,000 domestic properties. Trevor Becker, 66-year-old organist at Holy Trinity Church, lived in Salcombe until he was 19, returning in 2008 to care for his elderly mother. I grew up in a thriving community, he said. Now it feels like a ghost town at times. Young families can't afford to live here, and there are so few shops that local people want to use because they are all geared to tourism. Houses from the 1930s and 1960s are being demolished, along with their gardens, to make way for new holiday homes of questionable design, which replace grass with tarmac or bricks. The rainwater runoff must be horrendous, and as a result we now get flooding in some of the lower streets in winter. One 82-year-old resident, who declined to be named, told Mail Online that locals increasingly rent out their homes in summer and move elsewhere, or go traveling, on the income generated. They can't bear the tourists though personally I've got used to them, he said. In summer, Salcombe is full of young couples on holiday and pensioners on day trips. I call them the nearly wed and the nearly dead. Source, dailymail.co.uk. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.